Hey everybody, has anyone had these Spindrift spiked waters? Basically like a really good version of a White Claw. I don't know why I'm drinking these, I just had a couple extra. Going crazy. Hey, so let's talk. I want to talk. Oh my god. So it's been a while since I did a responding to comments video, and I wanted to respond to your comments and just say hello to all of you who are subscribed to this channel. We have 11,400 people on this channel right now subscribed. I've been a little bit slow in my YouTube output recently, so hoping to get back with a regular schedule of videos. Typically in these videos, I'll give you a life update, so let's talk about life. About 3 months ago, I made a video telling you that I left my full-time job at the opera to take my photo business full-time, and that has been the best decision I've ever made. It's been incredible. I'm just so happy, and business has been so good this year, but it still feels very new and fresh and scary. And so I just want to sort of give you an update after 3 months, because I know a lot of you who watch this channel are aspiring photographers, and maybe you want to have your own photography business someday. And I just want to fill you in and tell you what it's been like. I love the business part of it. I love managing my own thing, making connections, building my brand. So I think one of the things that people are curious about or want to know about is like, how much money am I making? Like, am I making enough money? I know that when I left my full-time job, a lot of people were like, oh God, like, are you going to be okay? Or are you going to have to leave Santa Barbara? Which are legitimate questions. But thankfully this year, the business has done really, really well, especially considering this was a part-time business for most of this year. And a majority of the work I'm doing is associate shooting and second shooting. This year, my business is projected to make about $115,000, which is mind-blowing to me. So that is all the contracts that I've completed thus far and all the contracts I have right now through the end of the year. The total amount for this year equals that. Now, of course, I'm not bringing home that amount of money because I have a lot of business expenses. I have operating expenses. I have been paying contractors as associates for me. And I've also had a lot of business investments. I bought a computer, bought a lot of cameras, bought RF lenses. So I've had a lot of expenses this year, but I also had other income from my job before I quit. So it's been an interesting year financially for me. And a lot of it has just been sort of putting money into my business as an investment to try to grow it. I know a lot of creators talk about their income and business investments and things here on YouTube. And I think a lot of times that can feel sort of unattainable. And that's what I don't like about it. Sometimes people just talk about how many millions of dollars they're making on the internet, and it just feels so out of reach. But I do think it's helpful for smaller creators like myself to talk about it because I feel like this is within reach for people. Obviously, it feels good to be financially successful this year after going full time. But the other thing that I'm learning is when this is the only thing that I'm doing, I've become more critical of my own work. I worry about satisfying clients more. I worry about my output. Is the quality high enough? Are people going to hire me again? Are people going to be happy with the work? And also, like, I constantly worry about next year. I mean, right now, my next year income projection is sitting at like, I think 30K right now. So I have a lot of work to do to make legitimate income to be living in Santa Barbara next year. And so, you know, that's a stressor to me too. It's like, oh my God, I'm freelancing. Like, I need to figure out how to continue building this business and making money. Like, am I going to be able to make the same amount next year that I made this year? Am I going to make less than that? Am I going to make more than that? I have no idea, and I have no way of knowing. And that thought is really daunting. It's something that I'm sort of living with on the day to day because I'm running this business, and it's just a thought that's always in my mind. Okay, so aside from the financial aspect of the business, which is obviously a major one, the other major aspect of this business is just scheduling and time management. So honestly, it's been really an exhausting summer. I've been working so much, and I found it really difficult to sort of juggle shooting and editing and shooting and editing and personal life, because when I'm home, I feel guilty if I'm not editing, but I just don't have the energy to, shoot during the day and then edit in the evening. And so I need to figure out a way to really prioritize personal time and set work hours for myself, because this isn't something I've had to deal with before. It's sort of a balancing act, figuring out when to work and when not to work, and meeting my deadlines for my clients, having this backlog of work hanging over my head. There are projects that I shot last month that I haven't even started editing because I've just had so much editing and shooting to do. And that for me is also stressful, because it's just like you have all this work hanging over your head. I have to say that even though these new stressors have entered my life as a part of embarking on this journey of being a full-time creative entrepreneur, I'm also like really happy and excited and grateful. It just feels right. It just feels exactly like what I've always wanted to be doing. And even though I have doubts and stresses and panics about next year and the business and making it work, I'm confident that I can make it work. And I'm really excited about where the business is going to go. And I'm just, like I said, so grateful that everything fell into place this year and that I'm actually doing this. And I really can't wait to see what happens. Okay, enough about me. Let's talk about you and your comments. So just a reminder that I'm responding to comments of publicly subscribed people. So if you're not publicly subscribed to the channel, make sure that you are, if you want to be mentioned in these responding to comments videos. And I'm really sorry if I didn't get to your comment. There have been so many of them. I've been bad at responding to them, but I'm working my way through them. So apologies if I haven't responded to your comment. I'm still very grateful that you're watching my channel and commenting on the videos. It really does mean a lot. So let's dive into your comments. Alessandro Campo says, big support from Italy, admiring your choice. You will do amazing. Love your content and your energy as a human being. Grazie mille, Alessandro. I mean, honestly, that is like such a kind comment and thing to say. Thank you so much. Mark Giles says, it's amazing to see your channel grow the way it has. I have so much respect for what you do. How to build a website would be a great video. I've been on yours a few times. The print shop portion and the process of how you choose what you display are what I'm mainly interested in. Thanks, Mark, for watching and for the comments. I've been wanting to make a website video for a long time and haven't done it. I recently completely revamped my website and made it more wedding focused, because I'm trying to build my wedding business. I use Squarespace and it's been great for me, but there are other platforms out there. So eventually I will make a video about websites and why you should have a website. Spoiler, you should have a website even in 2022. Social media is not enough. I'm sorry to say, but it's not. It's not. Mara Fernandez says, trust your inner voice. Blessings on this next chapter in your professional life. You're fabulous. Thank you so much. I forgot to posting this video on YouTube is kind of scary, but the amount of comments and kind words from you guys was just like amazing. It's just really special. Like, it's just special. I don't have another word for it. It's incredible. So thank you. John Adams says, best of luck. Congrats. Thanks, John. Bun Mingling says, good luck, Zach. We're all cheering for you. Also, would be great if you could make more Fujifilm film recipe episodes. Thank you so much for the kind comment. And yes, I do want to make more Fujifilm content. A lot of you have asked me about my Fujifilm kit these days. I actually don't shoot with Fujifilm anymore. I sold my camera last year, my X Pro 3, and I just shoot with Canon mirrorless now, full frame mirrorless. And I made the decision for myself because I wanted the quality of work that comes from the Canon mirrorless system. Like, that's what I want my work to look like. That's what I want to give my clients. And even though the Fujifilm X series is amazing and wonderful and totally valid as a professional camera system, it is not the same as shooting with full frame. It's not as consistent and the look is different. It doesn't mean that it's worse. It just means that it's different. And I think for my work, I prefer the look that I was getting out of the R series. And so I decided to just shift everything to the R series because that made the most sense for me, but I still like Fujifilm and would still like to include videos about their cameras on the channel, so thank you. Chrono Cross says, I got the R5C and the R3. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, so recently I bought the R3, I sold my C70, and I bought the R3. I wasn't using my C70 as much as I wanted to, and I really tried to figure that camera out, but I think it's for a different type of videographer than myself. And so I decided to sell that camera, and I sold it to this really awesome guy in LA who's going to use it much more than I was using it. And I put that investment back into the R3 as my go-to hybrid professional camera. And I'm really loving the R3, I have to say. It just makes so much more sense for me. It's really an expensive camera, so it's definitely not one that I would recommend. I probably don't even need it, honestly. It's probably overkill, but I had that investment in the C70 and it was just sitting on my desk collecting dust, and I really wanted a camera that had incredible video specs like the R3, but also was an amazing stills camera that I could shoot at weddings. And it has that beautiful 24 megapixel sensor that's low res enough, but still wonderful and just great in low light, and just a really all-around awesome camera. The R5C for me didn't make a lot of sense because I didn't love that it switches into the Cinema OS, and also also it's slow to change over from stills to video. I need something that's really quick and that just works in the way that I'm accustomed to from these mirrorless cameras. That's just me kind of being, I guess, like not as good of a filmmaker as a lot of other people out there. But I just, for the lack of a better way to describe it, I wanted something more simple than the C70. The C70 was just overkill for me, hence the R3. Vic Placido says, I'm planning on getting an R5 to pair with my R6. I'd like to have 2 bodies for wedding days. Yes, absolutely. 2 bodies for wedding days is a must for me. So I've really gone through it all with my camera setup recently. For most of this year, I was shooting with 2 R6s, which was incredible for weddings. Perfect. That's like all I could ever want. The R6 is amazing. I love it so much. And then I decided to invest in the R5 because I was doing projects that really warranted having higher resolution. And then the R3. So now I'm just like putting all my money in cameras, which is probably not smart. It's probably crazy. Craig Carlson says, Zach, okay, I'm back on your channel watching this video one more time before laying the plastic down to buy it. Just a suggestion for future lens discussions. I appreciate your focus on portraits, but when trying to illustrate a lens's capabilities, please consider adding in a few photos of, say, landscape, smaller apertures, and shots as close as possible to MFD to show how clear and sharp it is at that point. Just a suggestion. Thanks for your videos, Craig. Yeah, this is a good suggestion, Craig. Thank you. I feel like my videos are less technically based and more artistically based, if that makes sense. So you have YouTubers out there who will talk about every spec of a lens and shoot those funny diagrams that show you all of the specs of the lens, but that's just not me. It's never going to be me. So I could be better for sure about showing you more from a lens, but really I just want to tell you what it's like to use that lens, right? Because we're not going to be shooting brick walls. We're not, we're not going to be shooting charts. We're going to be shooting people, or we're going to be shooting food. We're going to be shooting, landscapes or whatever. And how does the lens really work in that situation? Like, that's what I want to get across. It's like sort of how my brain works. Yeah, definitely want to be more specific and more thorough in my reviews. And maybe that'll help. Zombie Raffle says, presets are the dumbest thing to invest in if you ask me. Just learn Lightroom and make your own as a startup point. Okay, this is a fair point. I mean, presets are kind of dumb. Like, I've spent way too much money on presets. It's often not worth it. They're often terrible. And yes, you could learn Lightroom, but I do think that presets can help you understand how other photographers edit, which is valuable. And they can also teach you about software. They could teach you about Lightroom. They could teach you about what you want in your own presets moving forward. So you can get value from presets, but yes, agreed. Presets are not the first thing that you should be investing in, and they certainly aren't going to improve your work or make your work look like another photographer's. And I think that's the biggest trap, is people just continually buy presets and they think it's going to make their photography better. And I kind of want to say 100% of the time it doesn't make your photography better. Travis Wallace says, I discovered this channel yesterday and I've already watched all the Q&As and almost all the videos on the R6 so far. I enjoy your calm and collected personality. Your advice and claims seem genuine, well-wished, and it makes consuming your content really digestible. Now that I've finished my YouTube video binge for your channel today, time to put these tips, advice, and lessons into practice. YouTube photography content does suck you right in, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Earned a new subscriber and post notifications on. Keep it up, mate. Oh, man, that is like, it's really nice. It's very nice. Thank you. I'm glad you found the channel. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I love photography content on YouTube. It's fun. It's a blast. You know, I watch reviews of cameras that I already own just because I'm interested to see how other people use them. I'm just curious about it. You know, I'm curious about gear and it's exciting. Michael the Dentist says, hey, since you asked, Zach, my only bit of constructive feedback would be that it's missing your voice. Your 50mm RF 1.2 video was supremely story-driven and ultimately convinced me to buy the lens, despite your unbiased comparison with the EF. I feel the great visuals in this video would be served by your fantastic storytelling voice. Even 4 or 5 lines of well-chosen dialogue would be enough to truly capture your audience. So this is in response to the Ojai video that I made. That I actually shot that video on my C70, RIP. That was a lot of fun. But I like this comment. Thank you. And thanks for subscribing. I feel like sometimes maybe videos don't need to have dialogue in them. Like I like the Ojai video because it's sort of like, I wanted to just feel like a visual diary, like pieces of things, like light, textures, space, emotion, music. Like that's what that was supposed to be. And I don't know if adding voice would have made that video work more, but it's definitely something I'll think about moving forward. I do want to make more creative short films like that moving forward. I don't know if any of you watch Danny Gewurz. You probably do. His channel is incredible. And the series he just put out about his film is just like unfreaking believable. Like I binged the 3 episodes on his YouTube channel last night and it's amazing. Like what? Go watch his channel right now if you haven't seen it. It's freaking amazing. But anyway, I've constantly been inspired by Danny's channel to make more produced short films. The Ojai video was kind of just thrown together. I didn't really have a plan for it, and you can tell, but I still think it's nice and genuine. But yeah, I like this comment because it made me think, and it just sort of piqued my curiosity. Michael Benatti says, hi Zach, very nice presentation of tap profiles. Would you mind sharing your tweaks that you baked into the Portra 400 preset of yours? I really liked what you did. I can see some tweaks in the HSL panel. I would like to know all the tweaks you did. Thank you so much. Okay, so the tap profiles are the archetype process film profiles. These are profiles that you can buy for Lightroom or Capture One that are created to mimic film, and I made a video about them. When you buy them, they give you a ton of profiles to choose from, and they mimic all sorts of different kinds of film, pushed, pulled. There's just an enormous amount of options to choose from with these profiles. It's kind of overwhelming. I love them. I think the colors are really great, and I've been using them a lot, pretty much for everything the past several months, but they're overwhelming. And so I did make some presets to help them be more usable, and I just created presets with my favorite profiles. And the tweaks that I made with those are very minor, but basically it is just like setting the profile, choosing the intensity, which is oftentimes needs to be dialed way down, and then basic exposure tweaks. And the other thing that's really important is tweaks to the HSL to make skin tones look more natural, because sometimes skin tones can be way off with these profiles. So those are really the things that I tweaked the most. I should make another video about it. They're quite expensive, and we did just talk about presets and how they're not worth it. But I think that these profiles are worth it if you're in the market for this type of digital product. You get a lot for your money, and I think they're just so usable and versatile that they're more worth it than a lot of presets you might buy out there. So just look into them, do some research. If you like them, go over them. I'll probably make another video about them in the future. Francis Frechette, sorry if I mispronounced your name, says, bro, use C-RAW on the R5. It's amazing. Yeah, okay, so I put out this R5 video, and clearly I don't know anything about the R5, and I felt like such a noob. See, this is why I always say in my YouTube videos, I'm just some random person on the internet making videos about this camera, because clearly I don't know anything. So basically the two things that I had got wrong in that video were that I said that the file sizes are massive, which they are, but people were like, well, you should shoot compressed RAW because the file sizes are a lot smaller and it's still just as good as shooting RAW. Great. Now, this is honestly why I love YouTube, because I learn things. I learn things from you guys, from watching other channels. The other thing was the overheating in 4K. I swear, I bought my R5 and I was using it, it overheated. And then I updated the firmware. And I guess I never used it in the same way after updating the firmware, because I've been shooting this video on my R5 in 4K C-Log 3 for about 35 minutes and have not gotten the overheating warning. So it seems like it's not overheating, which is what everybody basically yelled at me after I posted that video. This is great. You know, my firmware was updated, but I guess I never tested it enough to be actually sure that it didn't overheat. I still haven't tested it enough to know, but I'm going to now to see if I can make it overheat if I shoot in 4K 60. Right now, seems like it might be fixed. So the R5 just got like a lot more usable for me, which is really exciting. Thank you so much. Okay, y'all, thank you so much for watching. That's gonna wrap it up for this video. I really appreciate you all watching and commenting and liking and subscribing. It means the world to me. I am so grateful for this YouTube channel and I'm excited about the future of it. If you have any questions about what we discussed, any comments, any thoughts, please leave them below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Be nice. Be nice. People have been nicer recently, and I think it's because I'm telling you to be nice. So thank you for listening. Okay. That's it. I'm going to stop rambling. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.